coronavirus, first of all, there's a difference among the scholars. Is this, and the scholars of Islam, is this, for example, a disease? Is it compared to the ta'un that the Prophet ﷺ spoke about? A ta'un, I don't know that if the doctor could help me with that, because the ta'un is something that would appear onto the areas where the skin is thin. Do you have that? Is that like an old plague? Once it comes to the person, it will basically wound him like like he's been in a fight. He'll have cuts in him because of that. It will come to the areas like, for example, underneath the arms. Okay, it will come to the bottom of your belly, where the pubic area, which is and between the testicles as well. This is the area where the skin is thin. And that is why we have a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ that there is on the day of Resurrection a dispute that takes place between the shuhada, the real martyrs, along with them, that is the ones who died, on their bed normally. How come that the ones who had died in ta'un, which is in this plague, are to be, as a martyr? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, okay, look at their wounds. If it's closer to the martyrs, we'll consider them martyrs. They looked in their wounds, and it was close to the martyrs. The wounds of a spear, the stabbing, and the cuts, and all of that. So the ta'un, Prophet ﷺ, the story behind it goes back. When Jibreel alayhi salam came to the Prophet ﷺ, and when he was in Medina, just the first when he migrated, he came with him with two illnesses, humma and ta'un. Humma and ta'un. Humma is fever. Ta'un is the plague. Which one do you want to choose? So he said al-humma. So he chose al-humma to Ahl al-Madinah. And he said ta'un to be sent to Bilad al-Sham. And he said at-ta'un fi ummati shahada. The person who survives, who is in a land where there's a ta'un, is a shahada. Shahada, martyrdom, it doesn't mean that you have to die. So if you had borne it patiently, and even if you survive, you are a shaheed. You can get the reward of a shaheed. So whether you die or whether you survive this plague, if you survive it, or you die in it, you will be a shaheed, a martyr. The humma, when it was in the Medina, it struck the people of Medina so much that in a single house except there will be fever. So the Prophet ﷺ kept going from one house to other, trying to give them calmness and ask for the dua and say to them, don't insult the humma, use the water to extinguish it like fire, which is still till today the best treatment for the humma, the fever. This is the water. So it's like, and the humma is basically the beauty about it. It does not kill, but it gives you a lot of reward, because every single bone of you will ache, and that will give you a reward, an expiation of your sins. So, and then the Prophet ﷺ asked, after that he's seen the humma had really gone to everybody, they asked him to take this disease away. So he said, "Oh Lord, to Al-Juhfa." They were the Jews there, used to reside. The Jews, the ones who were enemies of the Prophet ﷺ. So he pushed it to Al-Juhfa. Al-Juhfa is basically close from the Red Sea. And it's about, you could say, 70, 80 miles away from Medina. So 80, well, I would say 100 miles from Mecca. So it's on the sea, far away from the Medina. That's Al-Juhfa, and that had stayed for a long time. Even the scholars, they say that the water of Al-Juhfa had still at that time, after the death of Salam, by years, still that any person goes to that water, he will get the fever. So it was pushed away to the fever. As for the ta'un, stayed in Bilad al-Sham. Now, the Khilafah of Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu took place in the year 12 after Hijrah. And this is where it took place later on. It started slowly. In the year 15 after Hijrah, Abu Bakr basically had appointed people to lead, the armies onto the province of Bilad al-Sham, some of it in the south, some of it in the north. So for example, Sharaḥbīl ibn Hasana, he was in Jordan, and for example, Mu'awiyah ibn Sufyan in another area, and Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah in another area, and Khalid ibn Walid, he was the leader. And then when Khattab took leadership, he had made Khalid not to be the leader, he made Abu Ubaidah to be the leader, radiallahu anhu. So when they wanted to go to Palestine, they've heard that there's a plague in a place called Amawas. Amawas is an area. Amawas is an area which is in Palestine. It does not exist now on the map because the Jews, when they occupied Palestine, they have changed it so much that now it's like a park. They call it the Canadian Park, because the Canadian Jews, who are the ones who spent money, so it's not there, the Amawas. There was a plague which is spreading there. And the Umar al-Khattab, he went to a place called Saragh, and this Saragh, where all the leaders met, Abu Ubaidah and others, Mu'adh ibn Jabal, they were there to see whether they're going to march forward to Palestine to fight or not. So they were in dispute. Shall we go in or shall we not? And what happened is that Umar al-Khattab consulted the ones from the Muhajirun, the immigrants, and they were in dispute. Some of them, they said, we came all the way to here, might as well to go inside. Some of them said, no, we can't really jeopardize the fate of the Muslim army. So he said, okay, you leave, give me the Ansar. The Ansar came and they were in dispute just like their brothers from the Muhajirun. Then he said, okay, give me the Mashikha, the senior shuyukh of the Sahaba, of the Fath, give them to me. They came, and all of them in one opinion. That is, we see that you cannot take them and jeopardize the fate and the life of the army. So, okay, that's it. Tomorrow, I'm going to leave. I'm leaving to Medina. And the army would leave to their places, to Bilad al-Sham. So as soon as he wanted to leave, Abu Ubaidah, whom Umar al-Khattab himself had appointed him, remember, he said, leader of the believers, are you going to flee from the qadr of Allah? Now, even Ubaidah has this upper hand. No, I would say Umar al-Khattab has the upper hand on Ubaidah. He had Abu Ubaidah Amr ibn Jarrah, that he had given him this, the leadership instead of Khalid. He would not waver it for the sake of compromising your religion, because he thinks this is not wrong, this is not correct. So he said, oh leader of the Bidah, you're trying to run from the qadr of Allah? You're scared to go there? That's when Umar al-Khattab said to him, I wish that somebody else had said it. That means I wish somebody else had said, that means somebody in your caliber and understanding shouldn't have said it. Or it could be means that if it's somebody else, I would have really beaten him up or I'd punished him or something like this. But it's because of you. And he dislikes his differing. He didn't want him to differ. And Abu Ubaidah is a well-known companion. He's Ameen, the trustworthy of this ummah, the trustee. Ameen hadi al-ummah. I'm going to tell you, because maybe Abu Ubaidah is not in your mind so much how great companion he is. Let alone just to speak about what happened when the Prophet ﷺ died, and Abu Bakr and Umar and Abu Ubaidah, they went to the Saqifa. And then the companions, they're saying, one leader from you and one leader from us and all of this, and Abu Bakr. Okay? And Umar al-Khattab, and he wanted to speak, but Abu Bakr, he said, he took it straight away, and he started to speak, and he said that the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the leadership has to be in Quraysh, and you are the ministers. And after he finished his speech, he said, and I choose for you too. Who are they? Umar and Abu Ubaidah. So that means Abu Ubaidah is a person who is, he didn't say anybody, he didn't say Uthman, he said Abu Ubaidah. He said, Umar, Abu Ubaidah. Umar Khattab said, I liked every single word of what Abu Bakr had said, except for the last thing, when he said, as me or Abu Ubaidah. For verily, my head to be cut off rather than to lead people amongst them, Abu Bakr. So he said, Abu Bakr, stretch your hand, give him the pledge. And we gave the pledge, everybody gave the pledge. Because nobody can stick his neck out to be leading Abu Bakr, no way. So Abu Bakr, unwillingly at the beginning, he took the leadership. Because he doesn't want it, he wants to give it to somebody else, but he's saying that you can't be leaders, O Ansar. It has to be from the Quraysh. So the second point as well, it reminds me here, Abdullah ibn Umar himself. And when we talk about who is the one who is toughest all the time regarding the matters of the deen, we say Abdullah ibn Umar. And who is the one who gives you maybe concession? They say Rukhas ibn Abbas, Ibn Abbas. So we talk about two issues. Ibn Umar will be always the hardliner, and Ibn Abbas is the one softliner. Okay? So Ibn Umar, he had invited Abu Ubaidah once to his house, and it was like wedding, and there was there some images, like it's been covered, images of certain things that's been covered. And when he came in, Abdullah ibn Umar, he saw the eyes of Abu Ubaidah, and he said to him, غَلَبْنَا النِّسَاء, the women, just, overcome us, overwhelmed us, so we can't really do anything, the women really. If Ibn Umar saying this, so Abu Ubaidah, he said, I would have thought anybody would say it, but not you. I will not come to you at all. And he left. That's how strict Abu Ubaidah is. Stricter in that than Ibn Umar. Just to give you a glimpse, who is Abu Ubaidah, radiallahu anhu. So I said, you're trying to run away from the qadr of Allah. Umar al-Khattabi said, no. We run from the qadr of Allah to the qadr of Allah. It's the qadr of Allah in everything. Imagine that you are a shepherd and you are herding your camels. And you came to a place which got two valleys. One which has got grass and the other has got no grass. If you graze into the one which has got no grass, this is with qadarullah. And you decide to take it to the one which got grass, it's with qadarullah. This is both is qadarullah. That means whatever you do is qadarullah. Everything's been written like this. So I'm not trying to run away from the qadar of Allah. So while he was about to go, Abdul Rahman bin Auf comes and he was busy in something personal to himself. He said, by the way, I've got something, got ilm, knowledge from the Prophet ﷺ, which I've heard. I've heard the Prophet of Allah saying, if you hear about a plague in a land and you are out of it, don't come into it. And if you hear about the plague in a land and you are into it, don't go out of it trying to run from the qadr of Allah. So Umar al-Khattabi praised Allah Azza wa Jal and he left. So he left, that's the year 15 after Hijrah, and all the leaders, they left back to where they are. But in 3 years, this plague got bigger and spread more and bigger until it arrived to the area where Abu Ubaidah was there. It arrived to the area, was there. There was a narration which says that, and the authenticity of it is in question, that Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anh sent a letter to Abu Ubaidah telling him that, saying that what I want to say to you cannot be written, I want you to come. And he's actually trying to bring him so he would not die into that plague. Now that is in question because it goes up in contradiction to what Umar he had said. Umar he had heard from Abdul Rahman Auf that if you hear about the plague and you are in it, don't leave. Okay, don't leave. Now the others said no, they argued back here, leaving or staying is not a ibadah, it's something to do with common sense. Whenever you want to rule onto a matter, you have to say whether it's a ibadah, whether it's a common sense. If it's common sense, then there are things you could really apply it. For example, when he said, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, if you had heard about the plague, okay, and you are out of it, don't go into it. And you're a doctor, you're needed. If it's a ibadah, you can't go into it. But if it's common sense, then you could go into it. So if you take your protection as a doctor, you want to treat people, isn't it, in the hospital. So you take protection, whatever mask you're going to put on and all of that. So you go in. So no problem, you go in. And if you are inside as well, and Allah's Messenger said if you are in it and the plague took place, you don't come out of it. But if you now, through the system, you've been proved that you are okay and healthy, why is it not to come out of it? To spread the what? The disease. Because common sense. So if I'm going to come out of it and I've been diagnosed by the government, I've got nothing, then no problem. I could come out of it. Okay, so it's common sense. It's very important to know this issue. Right, so I would say the authenticity of it is in question, wallahu a'lam. But anyway, the hadith says, or the narration says, the story says that Abu Ubaidah knew what Umar he wanted. He said to him, O leader of the believers, I want to stay with the army. As soon as he received the letter, Umar al-Khattab started crying. The people around Umar al-Khattab said, what, did he die? Abu Ubaidah, he said, he's almost. And he died in that plague. In that plague, they said 25,000 had died. Some even said more than that. Some of them are companions and great companions, which is Abu Ubaidah first. Then he appointed Mu'adh ibn Jabal and he died as well. Also Mu'adh ibn Jabal's son, he died as well. Also from the ones who died, we have Abu Jandal ibn Suhail, we had Amr ibn Suhail, we had Yazid ibn Abi Sufyan, a great companion, we had Sharahbil ibn Hasna, we had Dirar ibn al-Azwar, all of those, Hisham ibn Harith, companions who were killed in that Amawas, which is a plague, 25,000 as a minimum, even more than that, more than that, double that number. So, and that actually was followed it was following the year of Al-Ramada when the people didn't have any food to eat. طيب, coming back to what we were saying, الطاعون شهادة. This plague, or this say pandemic, which is epidemic, I wouldn't say it is like that plague. There's a difference between this and that. But in terms of applications, in terms of quarantine, it applies. Okay? Just like now today, we are teaching where there's nobody here. We're teaching it with Telelink, and hopefully Telelink will not transfer coronavirus as well. Okay, to the Telelink, to minimize the spread of it. Okay, but as an advice for myself and to everybody, first thing is to learn about this illness, this disease, to learn about it, because there's people now sending things which are not correct. It's not authentic. Like one of them who just sent to me, and he says that it's a long message, but it says if you hold your breath 20 seconds and then there's no cough, that means okay, otherwise you're going to be okay. It means you got it. So some people can't hold their breath for 20 seconds. And the person who sent it to me, Jazakallah khairan, 5 minutes later on, he said, don't hammer me, Sheikh, I apologize. And he sent me a website to show that this is not correct message. But what bothered me that 3 days ago, this message was translated into Arabic. So how many languages have been translated to? Telling the people what to do and what is the symptoms and how to diagnose it. Allahul Musta'an. So learn about it. This is one of the flus, just like a flu, normal flu. It's just a normal, but it is, in danger-wise, it is like, first of all, it spreads quickly, and it is more effective regarding the old people. The young people, you might have it even you don't realize. Some of them will pass through it, and you doesn't know that you through the coronavirus. He didn't know, because it was just the symptoms was really. But the problem about this that we found, that the doctors had found out, that the incubation period is also infectious. That's the problem. So you could be with somebody who looks healthy, but is actually carrying the disease. And he might pass it to you, and you will get it severely. If you have no problems, heart problems and all of this, and you're still young, you don't have to worry about it. And why do you have to worry about it? Make tawakkul upon Allah Azza wa Jalla. You do what you should do. The hygiene, which is clean yourself, make sure that you, even when I prostrate, for example, on this carpet, I put my jacket, my own jacket, or bring some towels and put a bit. I would want to cut the habits as well of hugging and shaking of the hands as much as possible, clean the hands all the time. If you clean even with water, okay, even the water is enough, but this detergent is just to make sure, but it's just to remove the droplets, that's all, that's what it is. You drop it, you're going to go into the drainage, and it's going to go dead, that's it. Okay, and subhanAllah, if you look at the regions where this disease is being spread, Africa is free of it, because of the temperature. Yeah. It doesn't survive in heat. So when the summer comes as well, it will decrease. Yeah, inshallah. And they have heard as well, read just recently, that there is a vaccine going to come maybe in as early as June by German company, which America now, they're trying to buy the whole company itself and bring it to them.
Business.
Yeah, well, they might manufacture the disease, and as well they're going to get the cure. طيب. We say to the brothers, and as well abide by the instructions, Jazakumullahu khairan, that you might expect as well that this masjid will be no prayers whatsoever. So you've got combination now, but later on maybe there will be no prayer. For this masjid took this, I would say, courageous step to do it. In our area in Maidenhead, because our masjid is under construction, it hasn't finished yet, so we pray in a would say, decent shop. So it's still a shop. So it was easy for us to just to say that we close the shop. There's no 5 daily prayers, there's no Jumu'ah. We rent a hall for the Jumu'ah, but there's no Jumu'ah. The Jumu'ah is cancelled, but we cancelled the 5 daily prayers, alhamdulillah. I'm saying alhamdulillah as in there will be no gathering and no people will not be complaining, because we have old community there, and they are vulnerable. These old people, when they have problems as well, they are vulnerable